I think in December. By then we will have decided how we're going to proceed. We don't want to make any decisions until about Thanksgiving. Just because we're just a little nervous right now. We're feeling like our numbers are rising here in Montana, although Silverbow and Butte seems to, we're kind of holding on by our fingernails, I think. So we just want to see what's going to happen. We'll make a decision. So the next one we'll have will be the November 11th. I accidentally scheduled myself to work on a holiday.
Excellent. Finally. I'm not
Veterans
alone.
Day.
Yeah.
I
11/11.
I know.
Well, you know what you could do is we could put a microphone on you and you could run the Veterans Day race. We'll have a wireless mic and you can talk to us while you're running.
You're so funny.
Wouldn't that be entertaining?
I'll cheer you on.
What is my incentive at the end of the race? How are you going to get me to actually
oxygen,
run?
adrenaline shots.
Not enough.
A trip
Nope.
in an ambulance to the hospital.
No, that definitely is not my incentive to run. This girl doesn't run. This girl barely walks. My knee hurts, Ron, because I'm getting old. I'm almost as old as you are.
I used to love it when I was jogging all the time. People drive by and say, "Who's chasing you?"
Yeah.
Why else would you run, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, unless there's a bear behind me.
Yeah.
Not
Well,
gonna
let's get to
do
today's
it.
guest, and Les Cook joining us from Montana Tech. Hello, Chancellor. How are you?
Great. Thank
Good.
you.
Would
Good
you
to see you
tell everybody a little bit about yourself for those that have not met you yet?
Sure. So I am the Chancellor at Montana Tech. I've been here about 15 months now. Came on board in July of 2019, and I'm praying for a normal year at some point. I guess.
Welcome to our nightmare, right?
We hope you'll stay long enough.
It's been an interesting ride so far, but it's been a lot of, there's a lot of really good things happening. And
as my mother would say, it builds character.
Exactly, yeah.
Well, and that is kind of interesting for you. You take over, you move into a chancellor's position, but with the change, you haven't even really had experience to see what it was like to be a chancellor. You have very little time building into the job before this all hit.
Yep, we're defining the new normal. I'm not sure what it is, but we're defining it as we go. So.
Well, I was going to say, hey, Butte, we now know who brought it with them. No, I'm just joking. You were here before that.
I didn't bring it. Don't blame me, please.
Where did you come from?
So I was at Michigan Technological University. So one MTU to another MTU. So
that's wonderful. You didn't have to change anything that had MTU. It might be a different color, but at least you were okay.
Yeah, I still have a Gmail account that's set up there, and there's stuff. People send me stuff, colleagues across the country that's supposed to go to MTech that goes to MTU still. So I have to check that email periodically.
But I bet you didn't have to buy new winter clothes when you came here because you were set.
We've been pleasantly surprised because we brought a lot of winter clothes and we didn't really have to use many of them last winter. So
last winter was.
Last one was. This one's not
this
starting out.
Starting out a little different though. So.
Yeah, but we had the 1 or 2 days, so we can live with that.
Yeah, exactly.
So again, where was home when you grew up? Where did you spend your childhood?
I grew up actually in a little ranching community on the Utah-Nevada border, out southeast of Windover or southwest of Windover. So towards Ely, Nevada.
Mm-hmm.
So
exactly where the
little ranching community. It's this is an opportunity to obviously to come west and to come back home and to get back to our roots. And actually thought we'd be spending a lot more time with family and such. Coming back, but my sister and her husband have been up here and we've been out there once, and that's been about it because COVID hit and everything.
Darn COVID.
We've been hunkered down for a while. So
next year.
And as you get back here, it's kind of interesting, I would imagine, for you with the experience now with Montana Tech to see how many Montana Tech graduates are down in that part of the country where you came from. Because you look at the mining industry down there, and I love the thing they told my son when he went for his physical at Barrick is the doctor told the nurses, be kind to him, someday he'll be your boss. And my son started laughing. He said, oh, you don't understand. Our company is run by Montana Tech graduates.
Yeah, exactly.
So there's a lot of them down there.
Yeah, there are a lot of Montana Tech alums out in that part of the country. Actually, we just signed our first cross-country male for next year, I think, and he's from Spring Creek. Harrison Wayland, I think is his last name. But Harrison's his first name. I know that. So, and he's coming from Spring Creek.
I was just in Spring Creek a couple months ago. Yeah. So down visiting the kids. So I love it. Well, let's get to Montana Tech, and you have a line of questions that you would like to get to today.
Yes,
so
see them all.
They're all I see you've spent a lot of time on this. As we get to talking about the history of Montana
Yeah.
Tech?
Yeah, so I would be interested to learn, since you haven't been able to function as a full-time, not full-time, but in a regular calendar way. You've had tons of time, I assume, right, to look
Sure.
up, like we all have, to learn about Montana Tech history. So I'm just interested, what is it that has really impressed you about Montana Tech and about Butte itself, about the history? What is it that you've just fallen in love with? What aspects?
So I think the interesting thing, obviously, is that Montana Tech was started as a school of mines, and the rich history that comes with that. Mm-hmm. Obviously, we're an integral part of that, being here in Butte, Montana. I mean, everything at the time revolved around the mines, obviously. So I think that the one thing that has been kind of on my radar, I guess, even from when I interviewed and was doing some research, is the pride that the community and the people of Montana take in Butte, but also on Montana Tech. And it's one of the things that was interesting when the legislature approved money for Montana Tech and so on, and the community basically raised the money to build the building. Some of the mining companies donated the land. I mean, it was like one of those things, and I've seen it since I got here. There have been numerous occasions where there's something happens and everybody rallies, and it's like everybody comes together. And I think that in some ways it's really fascinating that that's Montana Tech. That's kind of how we started and how we evolved and how we continue today, because we've got. Obviously, there are, from not only our faculty and staff that take great pride in the institution, but the students and the community and our alumni that give back. It's just, I think that all of that, we're really fortunate. And I think that Montana Tech has done well over time, and it's really a gem for the state of Montana and this part of the West. And it's been a lot of fun so far.
So you said depending on the source, we got to check on the source. It started with like 21 students at first, and how many students do they have now enrolled?
So we're just over 2,000 now, and we started with. Well, they say that parts that I've read of the history. There's there's one piece out there that's in one place that says 21 students started on, September 11th, 1900, and it was cold and they shivered, and sat on borrowed chairs and those kinds of things. And then like 3 pages later it says September 18th, 39 students. And so I think what happened probably is 21 students were probably enrolled the first day of classes and 39 students enrolled for that academic year, I'm guessing.
Maybe.
So we've grown a little bit.
Maybe. So we at the archives actually have and I think we showed it to you, the very first catalog of classes for 1901 school year. And we have a lot of those really, really early ones, and they're really interesting to look at, and the tuition rates are wonderful. I asked him if he'd give me a break
So what were
my
they?
son's tuition.
I mean, don't tease us on this.
I think it was like
know.
$5.
Yeah.
$5 for a Montana student, and $25 if you're a non-resident.
Oh, it's big bucks back then.
Yeah, big dollars. I know at one point it talks about the tuition was $25 a year, and you could get a loan, a student loan, for up to $100.
Ooh.
But your student loan had to be paid off within a year of your graduation.
Yikes.
So
Wow.
yeah.
Well, when I went to
Can't buy a book for that now.
when I went to Tech in 1981, and it was $700 a semester for a full load.
Wow.
That was it.
Wow.
That's kind of pricey. Actually, I started in '82, and our tuition was like $280 a quarter.
Well, we did semesters, so
Yeah.
it was $700 for a semester.
Yeah.
So, but
Wow.
then you got, of course,
That
at
was way
Montana
less than
Tech.
mine.
One thing at Montana Tech that has always been, in my mind, the most impressive part of Montana Tech is the number of scholarship dollars, the number of assistance dollars that's raised by the foundation to make sure the students, through industry, through alumni, as you talked about, or even the Butte community donations. Those dollars have always made Montana Tech so affordable for so many, because it cost me $700, but I think I only paid $340 because we got money for going through the programs.
When I was going through the interview process, I actually knew the former, she's retired now, the director of admissions at MSU, and I called her and was trying to get the lowdown on Montana Tech, and she said, I don't know what you guys do, but you beat everybody else out in the whole state in Montana for scholarships.
Well, it goes back to that support from the alumni, like you said. They are happy and they give back.
Well, in the pride factor.
Yeah.
I mean, and people talk about Butte all the time. I'm sure, Les, you're running into this, where, the people from Butte take a lot of pride in being from Butte.
Right.
And that is our school.
Right.
And it's gonna turn out good people because that's our school. And even I know talking with my son down at Nevada Gold, all the Tech alumni have some type of Tech badge on their helmet or on their desk or something for Montana Tech. And he said, then you get these people from other schools of mines that are working there, and you would know what school they went to because they don't have that pride factor.
Yeah.
Well, when I was working, before I moved here, and I moved here from East Tennessee, and I was looking at a historic building to determine if it was historic or not. Or I think I had looked across the street and I thought, what are they digging up over there? What is going on over there? And I went over to see what it was, and it was some sort of a mining operation. I remember what they were pulling out of there. And the guy comes up and he's wearing a yellow jacket, and it says Montana School of Mines. Or it might have said Montana Tech. Probably said Montana Tech, because this would have been in the 90s. So it's Montana Tech. And I went, did you go to Montana Tech? My parents are from Montana. My whole family's from Montana. Not even knowing really where Montana Tech was at the time. It was long before I had even thought about moving here. But it's that pride of, far-reaching.
So the Montana Standard, in the history, it talks about when they laid the cornerstone in 1896 for Montana Tech, that someday this institution will be the pride of Butte. I mean, there's a quote in the history that actually says that was in the Montana Standard. So.
I don't think it took long to become the pride of Butte.
It was also the other thing that was interesting with Main Hall. It was the main building then, and they said that when it was built, it was the most elegant and substantial building in the state of Montana. So and I love it now. We need to do a little work upgrading it, but it's such a
stop and think about the age of the facilities and what great shape they're in. Because Montana Tech, would you say it's your staff and administrations over the years have taken a lot of pride into making sure that they've held on to that historical.
Right.
And that impresses you even more.
Yeah, I think that if you look at campus, I always say that it's the buildings around the square, the circle, they're the legacy, and then we've built newer buildings that are kind of the movement, the modernization of the future, and so you can almost see the evolution of the campus. And so many campuses, unfortunately, because it was so costly to retrofit and make renovations to buildings, many campuses tore down those buildings and have just hideous buildings that aren't architecturally pleasing. And our buildings are awesome. I love them.
I always said Montana Tech's an example of the growth of the United States. You have the old part in the east, and as you move west, you find the new. Because that's really, as the schools moved to the west, with the hyper complex originally, and then all the new buildings, it's really, the biggest issue, of course, has been parking. Yeah. Because a building on top of a mountain and Harvard on the hill, there's not a lot of level places.
Parking is always an issue, no matter what campus you're
on. I think it's universal.
Exactly.
That's universal.
Okay, we got to take time out when we come back. Let's talk a little bit more about the history of the school and the growth of the school, because growth really kind of came in stages. Yep. So we'll talk about that on the party line. Again, we do have the Chancellor of Montana Tech, Mr. Les Cook, joining us, and also Kim from the Archives, as we're doing a brown bag lunch here on the party line.
Hunters are always welcome at the Wise River Mercantile. They're close to your hunting camp, which makes getting all those essentials easy, like food and refreshments. Remember, the Wise River Mercantile also has lots of Montana-made items, including Wise River Montana t-shirts. Need gas? They have that too. The Wise River Mercantile, close to the mountains and right down the road from hunting camp in Wise River, Montana.
A gift that lasts a lifetime and beyond. That's the gift you want to give that special someone this holiday season. Silverbow Trophy and Engraving has your idea. All you have to do is stop by or call, and they'll get started on it. How about a Polar Camel Cup laser engraved with a custom design? It makes an impression, and they'll never give it away or regift it. Silverbow Trophy and Engraving. Call 782-5725 or stop by and see them at 500 East 3rd Street in Butte.
Everyone on Medicare has a chance to review and update their Part D plan, their prescription coverage each year. Hi, this is Holly at Southwest Montana Community Health Center, and open enrollment begins October 15th and ends December 7th for everyone on Medicare. A SHIP counselor can assist in evaluating your coverage for any changes that may be appropriate for 2021. Call us at Southwest Montana Community Health Center, 723-4075 to speak to a SHIP counselor or to schedule an appointment.
2 bedrooms, a bath and a half, patio and fenced yard with a 2-car garage.
4 bedrooms, 2 full baths, a new kitchen, acreage?
4 acres, close to the mountains, at least 2,000 square feet.
Uptown Butte, bigger yard, new plumbing and electrical, and at least 3 bedrooms.
What type of home are you looking for? Janelle Morgan with Century 21 Shea Realty wants to help make your dream home your new home. Call her today at 490-7945. That's Janelle Morgan with Century 21 Shea Realty at 490-7945 in Butte.
Those days, and talking about past chancellors during the break, so just good stuff.
Yeah. So at the beginning, assuming it was probably mining engineering, pretty much.
Yep. Mining and electrical.
Mining and electrical engineering, because that was still fairly, the electrical field was only 20 years old at the time, I think. When Montana Tech started. I think actually the first light bulb lit in the state of Montana was just up at the hill in the Alice in 1880, 81, something like that.
You're the archivist.
I know.
Don't look at me.
An archivist is different from a historian. We have all of that in there, so we don't have to remember it. We have it all in our files. So when did the school start to branch out beyond just mining and electrical? What kind of do you know when they started adding programs?
I know that in the 40s was when we added petroleum, and that became, that was a. I also know that Francis Thompson, who was a long-serving president that seemed to, in the stuff that I've read, seemed to have a real impact on the shape of Montana Tech. He was the president from 28, I believe, to 1950, so he had a good long run. And he did a report in the, I think, 1945-ish, looking at kind of after the war, what do we do to modernize the curriculum at Montana Tech and really kind of position the university for the future. And petroleum, I think, actually was adopted in, I want to say 41, somewhere in there, petroleum engineering.
That would make sense.
But Thompson was really focused on, looking at the science and technology, but also felt like that there was an opportunity for the university to bring in more of the social sciences and humanities and some of those pieces. Mm-hmm. And so, nowadays, it's obviously we're Montana's special focus institution, and so our focus really is STEM and health related fields, and we try to adhere to that or really hone in on that, but obviously we also have to be making sure that we're always looking at what's next, what's going to position us for the future, and so on. We'll talk more about that later. But
right. So I'm wondering, being the technological, well, it is kind of unusual. Most states have their ag and tech school, and then they have their state school. And we kind of have 2 tech schools here, with MSU being also an engineering type school. So I'm wondering, like in the 60s...
Well, if you're an ore digger, there's only one.
Well,
I'm just
right.
Yeah, because they're the land...
do they have a good...
MSU's the land grant
grant
institution, and
right.
typically land grant institutions, because of the Morrill Acts, have that kind of, the engineering and those pieces.
Right.
It's kind of a broad swipe.
Right.
They got to cover all the different areas.
Right.
But to specialize is.
This is, and I'm wondering how Tech has been able to maintain their programs and not be absorbed into like the MSU system. We kind of talked about it privately, but the listeners didn't get to hear that. So what makes MSU more special? Forgive me, Montana Tech more special than MSU.
Well, I think that there's obviously a role for institutions like Montana Tech. I mean, you got Colorado School of Mines, you got New Mexico Tech, you got New Jersey, Florida, Tennessee Tech, Texas Tech. I mean, there are,
Yes.
and so these focused, special focused, or really science-driven, STEM-focused institutions are very valuable. I mean, they're valuable to obviously to the communities that they're in, but also to the engineering that comes out of that. There are pieces of STEM that are integrated into almost everything that you do. It's,
Right.
Somebody was talking about with petroleum, people they just think oil,
Right.
like the crude oil or whatever. Well, oil is in almost everything, and plastics and all kinds of things. And so that's, the STEM-focused institutions or STEM-type institutions, I think a lot of them really evolved with the defense, and the military, and that's where a lot of institutions got. If they didn't start as a mining school, they, over time they kind of refined and did a lot of work with that. And it's like the school I was at back in Michigan was very focused on the auto industry. I mean, it built the auto industry in a lot of ways in the state of Michigan. The graduates that came out of that. So, in some ways, it depends on geographically where you are, what you're
Right.
doing.
Wouldn't it be safe to say that the STEM universities are driven by industry demands?
Yep.
Because really, if you talk about the school you're at with automotive and robotics, to the mining and the electrical engineering, petroleum engineering at Montana Tech, right down to the nursing program. But the STEM universities are driven by industry demand. You're probably closer to industry than you would be at a state college.
Yep, exactly. I mean, and it's workforce. We're preparing a workforce for the future, basically, and that's, one of the joys people ask me. They're like, "Well, you've been in STEM institutions now for 20 years. Why? Why are you nuts?" And it's like, no, these are the best places to be because the students come in, they're focused, they're very driven, they're determined, they want to get the education they need, and they know that they're going to be able to get incredible job opportunities. And that's
High employment.
When you got 93 to 95% placement rates, I mean, both places that I have been at that are STEM focused, and you never ever hear a student say, "I'm not sure what I'm going to do." I mean, they've got like 5 or 6 job offers. So,
and the other part of that is the idea at the STEM universities, you're getting the higher caliber students too.
Right.
I mean, you're getting students that have scored high on the ACT, that have been leaders in their classroom, and they're coming in with the idea that I have to have the brain to get through this STEM university, and like your nursing program, in top 30 in the nation, but to get into that program is tougher than even Montana State's program.
Correct.
Because the limit, but the exceptional degree you're going to come out with.
One of the interesting things too is if you look back at the history, it talks about when they first, the first admissions requirements were very rigorous. However, if you were from Butte High School, Helena High School, Bozeman High School, Great Falls High School, Kalispell, I mean, it's like they named like 8 schools where you could come in. It didn't matter how rigorous the requirements were. If you graduated from one of those high schools, you were in.
You were in.
That's a great growth idea.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's great. I mean, you've got your
You got to take care of your own.
You take care of your own.
Right.
And you're also producing your future workers.
Yep.
Which is, of course, what Montana Tech was doing because they'd graduate and go to work, top ground.
Well, and I think one of the
above the ground instead of below the ground.
One of the hard things is that with the students that we produce, a lot of them, because of the job opportunities, can go anywhere, and it's the challenge is keeping them here in Montana, making sure that we have the industry that keeps them here to be citizens in the state of Montana, because they've got opportunities to go anywhere in the world, really.
Right. Right.
Well, and part of that issue, though, is if they do go anywhere in the world, which Montana Tech has benefited from, they don't forget where they came from.
Yeah.
And that's why your foundation is successful. That's why the school has been successful. I mean, when you get leaders in industry, like a doctor telling the nurses at a mining clinic, someday this guy might be your boss.
Right.
That's really where Montana Tech has grown, don't you think?
Yes, and they're hungry to come home. I mean, that's if you look at it, I mean, the majority of our alums, 14,000 alums roughly, majority of them have graduated since the late 80s. It's because we had smaller classes back in the day, and the classes are larger now, obviously. So.
And they, how many of them come back to teach at Tech? I mean, there's an awful lot of Tech graduates that are back on campus as professors.
Well, they want to come home.
Yeah.
There you go.
Why wouldn't you want to?
Weather.
But they bring that expertise that they got by going through the school.
Yeah, one of the beauties of a school like Montana Tech, obviously, is we've got faculty that have been out in industry and come back and are, that have that real world experience that I think is incredibly valuable. I mean, we pride ourselves on hands-on, distinctive learning that's experiential. When students graduate from Montana Tech, people want to hire them because they know how to get the work done. They know they can hit the ground running. So
we're going to take another time out. When we come back, we'll get in whatever questions Kim wants to ask. As we're on the KBOW Party Line, it is a brown bag
How do I
lunch
prepare
today.
for that one?
I'm leaving you hanging on that one there, Chancellor. The KBOW Party Line continues after this.
Hard to find. Nope, it's just down the road at the Broken Arrow Steakhouse and Casino. All of their steaks are fresh. They're never frozen. The Broken Arrow can't wait to serve you yours the way you like it with all the trimmings. Every Friday and Saturday night, the special is prime rib. The Broken Arrow thanks all of their great customers for their continued patronage. Take the short drive to 317 Main Street in Deer Lodge, Montana. The Broken Arrow opens 7 days a week for lunch and dinner. Place to-go orders at 846-3400.
Harrington Surgical Supply takes this moment for the many people of Butte and southwestern Montana in reminding everyone that thermometers, hand sanitizer, and face masks are all back in stock. Take precautionary measures to help slow the spread of COVID-19 by doing your part. It's important for us to wear masks and keep social distance between others while practicing good daily hygiene habits. Harrington Surgical Supply, proudly serving Montana since 1946 at 53 East Broadway in historic Uptown Butte. Place your orders at Harrington Surgical Supply by calling 723-6541.
There's always fun in motion at the Big Red Barn. Old-fashioned service, that's what sets us apart. Where you can win and laugh out loud. The hokey pokey is what it's all about. Where neighborhood people have good old-fashioned fun. There's always something here for everyone. Everybody knows the place to go. Crazy Carol's Casino and Mill Bar.
Continental Gardens is so much more than walls and windows. This is Christine. It's where you always feel comfortable, safe, and secure. It's retirement living the way it's meant to be, with bright, light-filled, airy spaces and apartments, and freedom from the chores of daily maintenance. Continental Gardens promotes living longer, healthier, and happier lives, and staying independent in your own home. If you're 62 and older and living on a fixed income, pick up your application today at the Continental Gardens, 100 Gardens Way in Butte, and we'll get you on our waiting list. Equal housing opportunity.
No matter how far you may go, there's always one just down the road. Town Pump, who pump it up.
When you want something to quench your thirst or just need a quick snack, you can always count on your local Town Pump to have what you need. 1 liter Pepsi products, 2 for $4. Old Trapper 4-ounce jerky, 2 for $12. Town Pump, fast, convenient, and right down the road.
Right down the road. Pump it up, yeah.
Well maintenance is important. Improve your water quality with help from Brothers Water Treatment and Pump Service. Homeowners should regularly have their wells tested for contaminants if there's been a change in your water's color or taste. If you've noticed your pump runs during the night when water is not being used, or if it's making strange noises, there is a problem that can easily be solved. Call 559-0261. That's 559-0261. With 40 years water experience, choose Brothers Water Treatment and Pump Service. Owned and operated by Wayne Brothers.
In history of Montana Tech, going back in the days gone by, and Kim, I think you're going to take us a new direction here.
Yeah. We talked a little bit about the history and what it was as the School of Mines, and let's talk a little bit about what Montana Tech is now, and then we'll touch a little bit about going forward. So it started as a mining school. It's no longer just a mining school. So what
started
else?
as a mining school.
Yeah.
We actually our name was changed, I think, in '65 to Montana School of Science and Technology.
Science and Technology.
And then we're in 2017, we were designated as Montana's Special Focus Institution and given a new name of Montana Technological University in 2018. So
okay. And sometime in there, I think they had a really long, convoluted Montana Technological University of the University of Montana, or something like that.
Yeah, that was in '94. We were Montana Tech. We were aligned with the University of Montana. It was Montana Tech of the University of Montana. Yeah, and so then in 2018 we were when we became a special focus. So I actually report directly to the Commissioner of Higher Education for Montana, and when we were pulled out, we became Montana Technological University in 2018.
That was a time for Montana Tech, a time of concern, a real time of worry for alumni and for fans and the people supporting the college, that Montana Tech would lose its identity and be absorbed by the University of Montana, because the University of Montana wanted the research dollars coming out of Montana Tech, and everybody saw it as a money grab. So that was a tough time for those in support of the school.
Well, I think there have been a couple of tough times when, in '74 with the Blue Ribbon Commission that looked at, some of the changes there with MSU and, things along those lines. And there was, in '94, what they really they were focused on us becoming a part of affiliation of the University of Montana, and we also the Butte Votech, which is Highlands now, became part of us. So I think that there were people that were concerned about the identity. I know that when we became Montana Technological University, a lot of people said, "Well, you need to get rid of that." Of the University of Montana piece. So.
Yeah. I like the. It seems like there was a survey or something that I answered. I was going to say just the other day, fairly recently, probably 2 years ago. Like, what should we call it? And I think a lot of people thought Montana Tech, Montana Technological University, which I think says it all. But no, it doesn't say it all, because you also have nursing up there, and you talked about health field. So what has Tech expanded on since its mining days?
So I think that we're really a comprehensive STEM-focused institution. Mm-hmm. So we obviously have the mining and the engineering pieces, which are our legacy and where we've been, our core. That's where we started. But we've also adapted over time and have all the hard science-related fields. We have nursing. We have a strong business program, and I think that it's STEM plus. In a lot of ways. So
I think the business would be very beneficial for somebody going through an engineering program, because chances are in today's economy you might not be working for somebody else. You might have to start up your own engineering firm or consulting firm.
But even more so, if you look at the Montana Tech engineers and the nursing, with that business available, with that business background, because most of them will rise to the top of their companies or rise up into leadership roles. And having that knowledge through the accounting department, and all the different business programs, even having that associate in business to go with your mining or petroleum engineering makes you even more valuable.
Right. So when did the Montana Bureau of Mines and Geology, have they always been associated with the college?
1919, I believe, was when the legislature.
Then.
Yeah, they, that's pretty common that most states have a bureau, and many of them are aligned with universities, and so it's a value add in so many ways, I think, to Montana Tech, because it's obviously we started as a mining institution, and the bureau really was, established to not only for the mineral deposits and specimens in the state of Montana, but also originally was set up to help with efficiencies in mining and safety and those kinds of things, and so. Really, really positive alignment with us, obviously.
Yeah, it wouldn't fit at Havre or Missoula. It was a natural fit.
Yeah, it's perfect for us, and that's one of the things that I think is, as we look at our future going forward, we're kind of, it's the main North Campus and the Bureau and Highlands, and really a focus kind of honing in on how we bring all of that together. Because there's strength in so many of the things that we do.
Right. That is a good segue into the future. There's been a lot of visible growth on campus, a lot of new buildings. I've only lived here 20 years, and it's amazing how many new structures have been built just since I've been there walking around. It was just used to be this tiny little campus, and it's very impressive now. So we've seen a lot of that growth. What's next? What's coming up? What is that relationship between the Bureau and the school and Highlands College?
So I think that, if you look at Highlands, for example, I think that there's so much of the focus nowadays is not necessarily on, you don't have to have a 2-year degree. You don't have to have a 4-year degree. I mean, it's more workforce development. And so looking at, badging credentials and more short-term training programs, that's not to say that we would, not have those 2-year programs as well, but we have to be really agile there. And I think that Highlands gives us the opportunity to do that. I think that, Montana Tech is obviously, we've continued to evaluate programs as we go forward. And I think that not only it's refining what we have and modernizing what we have, but also looking at health-related programs that might attach to us, if there are other opportunities outside of nursing. I think that there's obviously a lot of growth these days around technology, so looking at computer science and how we evolve that more, cybersecurity, things along those lines. We were obviously just had our second PhD program approved last spring in March for Earth Science and Engineering, so we now have 2 doctoral programs. And there are other opportunities we can grow we've got strong graduate programs, and I think we can grow our graduate student enrollment as well.
And what are the 2 doctoral programs?
In metallurgical, and then also in Earth Science and Engineering. And then we got a new master's degree in restoration ecology, which there's no better place in the world probably to be studying restoration ecology than right here in Butte, Montana.
Obvious place, obvious location.
You hit on something, though, during that segment that really stood out to me, and that's the idea that the Highlands College addition to Montana Tech. So, and the answer to industry that we talked about earlier, when you have a business right here in Butte that needs welders.
Yep.
And you guys ramp up your welding program
right.
to give them what they need. And that's allowed you, plus many of those students will then step up to up on the hill and turn it into a 4-year degree.
Right, and that's, we're really focused on looking at opportunities to be able to get a student started, and they might, they get a certificate, and then they go out and they're working, but then they're like, yeah, maybe I want to get more education. And so then they come back and finish the 2-year degree and then eventually go on and get their bachelor's degree, which I think is the real opportunity.
Or maybe their employer sees something in them and says,
their employer pays them.
We want
to
exactly. Right. We want to send you to get this kind of degree and training.
So, Les, where do you see now, that there's been a lot of talk about the growth of the campus. About adding more students, about growing the enrollment. Do you see that still as a focus, or what is your focus?
So, we reached a high of, I think we were at 2,800 students in 2010, somewhere around there. And obviously we've had some challenges with it's petroleum. It's no secret, but petroleum, the students that we had in that program were, we were around 600 students at one point, and now we're around 100. And it's because of the demand in industry and the economics and those kinds of things, obviously, are some of them. But I think that, we're focused on growing our enrollment, and we've really engaged in a very intense, focused strategic enrollment plan. And we're building that over the course of this year. We were working on it last year. But we also are, at the same time, we're focused on a new strategic plan and a campus master plan. And so we've got a lot of moving pieces. But it's Montana Tech has so many opportunities. There's the story that is of this institution and the pride and, the opportunities that come out of Montana Tech as a graduate are phenomenal. And we've not done a great job always telling that story in that way. And so I think that there's just so much potential here. I think it's an exciting time. And I do think that I look at all the stuff that's going on Butte, from Montana Studios to Praxis to, I go to these economic development meetings every couple of weeks, and I'm literally astounded at all the excitement and energy that's happening in our local community. And it's really a good time for our local community, and I think it's a really good time for Montana Tech because we've got a lot of ideas about the future, and it's like I was mentioning earlier, we had a tech day last Friday, and with students in the audience and talking about, it's not hard to talk about Montana Tech when you have the highest earning potential of any other institution in the state of Montana. We were just ranked the #1 best value engineering school in the country, best small college in the state of Montana, and that was in company with like Caltech and New Mexico Tech and other institutions that are similar to us, and the lowest debt when you graduate. So they're all good things.
And that value engineering school is something that's year after year after year.
Yeah, I think it's like our fourth or fifth year in a row. Out of all schools in the country. Yeah. It's like the best value engineering school in the country for like 5 years running.
But if you continue to do what Montana Tech has done in the past, for example, you've done that with your engineering school, but then you bring in a nursing program that ranks in the top 30 in the nation, the only nursing program in the state of Montana, and one of the only ones in the northwestern part to rank in the top 30 in the nation. Think about how many nursing schools there are out there.
Right.
As you add programs, it seems like you're adding them the right way.
Well, the goal is, I talk to our team very regularly about, it'd be ideal if we could have like 10 or 12 programs that we're just like the best at. And let's not worry about all this other stuff. Let's be the best at these.
Focus, yeah.
I mean, we obviously, all of our other programs, we would make sure that they're strong too. But what are the 10 or 12 programs that we can have consistent enrollment of 175 to 200 students in those programs, and be the best at, that people say, I'm going to do this, I'm going to go to Montana Tech. Yep, exactly.
Right. If this is what I want to study, if I want to be a nurse, I need to go to Montana Tech, even if I live in Florida.
And in this environment, I mean, in Butte, Butte is the most just incredible city of any college town that you could ever imagine, because of the unique character of the town and the things that go on here. And the access to the outdoors is phenomenal, obviously.
Well, if you're going into mining, it's the only campus in the United States with a mine on the campus.
Exactly.
We got a mine. You actually get to work in the mine on the campus.
You might have this, but we got a mine. Don't mess with us.
We said that about the mining museum. I think I wrote that
there you go.
recently. That's one of the benefits of this place. Is a mining museum on an actual mine.
but in that point, that brings up the point that Montana Tech students also get amazing opportunities in industry while they're students.
Correct.
I mean, your students spend an awful lot of time during the summer working in industry, which you don't usually see that at a lot of colleges.
Yeah, I actually just talked to one of my colleagues that her son is taking, he's here now and leaving spring semester to go to Tennessee, and he has a co-op or internship with a boat company in Tennessee for the next year. He's a mechanical engineer. He's going, and they're going to pay him well, and and think of the experience that he's going to have. So when he comes back, he's going to be able to he's going to be able to pick his job offers.
And many of your people take those internships, and actually by the time they come back, they're going to be full-time employees of that company. They've already signed them up.
Right. Well, it's
paid
like a
for their
test drive.
school.
Yeah. I mean, companies are smart, and it's really competitive to get employees now. And so, they're doing all kinds of things to get students to come there.
But this isn't new at Montana Tech.
No.
Because of the desire and the industry wanting tech graduates. You guys have always had that benefit.
Since 1904. I was just looking at the first class that graduated in 1904.
They all had jobs.
Which we will talk about in 2 weeks.
Oh, really?
Yes. Our next topic, we're kind of doing an all tech all the time. We're going to talk about the first 2 women graduates who enrolled when the school opened in 1900 and graduated 4 years later.
Clara and Isabel, right?
Clara and Isabel.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about Clara. Larry Hoffman's going to come. He's written quite a bit about them.
There goes the neighborhood.
I know, right? God bless us.
Oh, what a great man.
So I was reading up a little bit about Clara and Isabel today. So we'll talk about them at our next brown bag, because I was like...
I think Larry was in that first graduating class, too, if I'm not mistaken.
He might have been,
Careful. I'm not going to say anything. I don't want to get in trouble.
We know Larry.
He'll bring a crane down and move your house for you.
Yeah.
He will, too.
So, Les, as you look at Montana Tech now, and kind of parting idea, where do you see like the next 5 years, the next 10 years? Do you have steps in place of where you're going?
Yeah, I mean, we're kind of developing these as we go on. Obviously, the strategic plan and the campus master plan are really intentional conversations about how we position Montana Tech for the future. And I think that there are, one of the things that I'm fully committed to is that as we evolve, and I mean, it's investing in people, it's investing in the possibilities that are here that are going to, position us for the future. But thinking about the modernization of campus and how we modernize our processes and, some of those kinds of things, and the technology, the infrastructure of the campus, we've invested a lot of money in very cutting edge, progressive, beautiful new space. We have some old buildings that need some attention. And so my hope is that we can figure out how to do some significant renovations to some of those buildings and modernize, some of the older buildings as well, because that's our legacy. And, we're going to move ahead, obviously, with an exciting strategic plan and mission, vision, and all those kinds of pieces. And so
That's wonderful.
Yes.
Do you have any final
Just to say thank you so much for taking some time out today and coming and visiting with us. I appreciate it, talking with you, learning. I'm really excited about tech now.
Well, thank you. It's always a pleasure to talk about. I mean, it really is so easy to talk about this institution and the things that are happening and the people that we have in, the things that our students are doing. And I mean, we've added cross country this fall, and we're adding track next, so it's like, it's just, there are lots of exciting things that's easy to talk about Montana Tech.
And it's easy to feel excited. Like I said, there's been so much new construction and new additions to the campus that it's something visible that people can get excited. So it's you've got a lot of momentum from that to go forward.
We've got about 260 students actually, and faculty and staff that are going out in the community this weekend to do a Make a Difference Day was last weekend, but with the snow it kind of deterred that a little bit. So they'll be out just picking up garbage and so on.
We had about 90 to 100 of them helping with Treat Street, so thank you.
Thank you.
We're out of time. Thank you both for being here, and thanks,
you,
Chancellor, and thank you, Kim, for coming to the Brown Bank lunch today. Forgot to bring lunch again.
I did too.
Hey, stay with us. The news is next.
Often the loss of a loved one is when you realize how special they were.
I could never imagine life without Mom. Now I want to say thank you.
Honoring the times of our lives, it would be our privilege to serve your family. Memories of a Lifetime of Love, Dugan-Dolan Mortuary, we care. At 1805 Meadowlark, 723-3239.
Thank you for your continued support of United Way of Butte and Anaconda. When you reach out a hand to one, you influence the condition of all, help build strength in our neighborhoods, help bolster the health of our communities, and change the lives of those who walk by you every day. When you donate to United Way of Butte and Anaconda, you can designate to a special area of service or designate to any of the 13 nonprofit organizations they are working with. Donate online at uwbutteanaconda.org. Questions? Call 782-1255. Live United.
Hi, this is Jennifer Shea, broker-owner with Century 21 Shea Realty in Butte and Anaconda. Well, real estate is selling, and we are servicing clients during this crisis that we are going through. Drive-through real estate, electronic signatures, virtual tours, video conference calls, in-person meetings using stringent guidelines to keep us all healthy. We are prepared to serve both buyers and sellers in a safe and healthy manner. Call us today, 406-723-5455. Century 21 Shea Realty with offices in Butte, Anaconda, and Great Falls.
Century 21 Shea Realty, independently owned and operated.